Welcome everybody. We have, it seems, 6 participants in this webinar. The second webinar ABNT is running for this program, this project, and I will make an introductory of ABNT and the Global Ecolabels Network. And the second presentation will be from Marcelo, which is our customer. He will present his experience in having an Ecolabels product with us. And after that, I will present our program. And at the end, the Brazilian government will present their experience in having the eco-labeling products, eco-labeled products in the public procurement. I will share with you my screen. I hope everybody can see the presentation right now. If anyone doesn't, please let us know, okay? The name of this webinar is the importance of using Ecolabel Type 1 as a technical requirement in green public procurement. ABNT, my name is Ladvocat. We will have also the Brazilian government, Antonio Giuliani, and Terpenoil, which is a customer of ABNT, Marcelo Ebert, that also will present for you. A little bit about ABNT. Some of you maybe have already heard about us in the last webinar, but for some that doesn't, we were founded in 1940. We are a private non-profit organization controlled by its associates. We are considered as a public utility organization, and that is because we are the unique Brazilian standardization body. So this activity of conducting the process of the Brazilian standardization make us the public utility organization. We also are a certification body accredited for certification of many products, services, systems, and for the verification of GAG inventories. And we are the unique GEN's full member of Latin America. Until now, I hope that in the near future we will have many of you also as full members of GEN. GEN is the Global Ecolabels Network. It's also a non-profit association of environmental performance labeling programs for products around the world. GEN advocates for Type 1 ecolabels and articulates distinctions between Type 1 ecolabels and less credible green labels. We help government officials, retailers, and consumers to understand how ecolabels can be used to develop and support sustainable purchasing. It's better. And in this screen, you can see all the GEN members around the world. We have 6 members in Europe. It's not, we would say that it's only few members, but it's not a few members because the EU Ecolabel represents 27 countries, and we have also the Nordic countries that represent 5 countries. So we have almost 40 countries participating in GEN in Europe. In Asia, we have also a lot of GEN members. North America, we have 2 members. In South America, we have today 2 members. This is the Colombian label and the Brazilian label. The Brazilian label is still the only one which is full member, but we hope that the Colombian will be a full member very soon. And we have also some associate members, which are Google, ICU, and IGPN. Our program, I would like to say a little bit about our program for you. Our program is a voluntary program. It's not a requirement for nobody, for the government, for nobody. It's a voluntary program, which is one of the principles of the eco-labeling type 1. It's also a third-party program based on multiple criteria. We don't have only 1 or 2 criteria. We have a lot of criteria. We have to establish criteria along of the life cycle of the products. And our program also takes into account the more significant impacts of the product life cycle. Depending, we don't make a life cycle analysis, but we try to think in all the stages of the life cycle of the product, and when we identify that the impacts are more significant, we try to be more stringent in the establishment of the criteria. And why are we here right now? Well, this project is is part of the 10 years framework of the Consumer Information Program, and we are in the working group on Type 1 eco-labels. Our goal is to help to the development of new eco-label programs around the world, and we will do that through capacity building on Type 1 eco-labels. And ABNT is running the program here in the Latin American Caribbean. GIA of Japan is running in the Asia and Oceania, and the Eco Union in Europe and Africa. We are conducting some webinars and other events to identify potential institutions that may or want to develop their own eco-labels. We had the first webinar in last February, which was about the eco-labeling, what is that, and how to develop a new eco-label. And this webinar right now we are running is the importance of using eco-label Type 1 as a technical requirement in green public procurement. We had the first version yesterday in Spanish and today in English. And the next step is next month we will have an event in Mexico. This event in Mexico we decided to make together with another event about the Americas Seal, which is a program that is running by United Nations Environment. And we figured out that these 2 programs have a lot of similar goals, so we decided to run this event in Mexico together. And the next steps after these 2 events, this webinar and the event in Mexico, will be the application, because we intend to identify 2 institutions that are interested in implementing eco-label in their country. And these institutions will be required to apply to this, to continue in the program. So the application with the next steps, it will happen until December of this year. The interested institutions apply to participate in the next steps of the project. After that, we will have a capacity building to help the development of eco-label procedures for the institutions. We have to document all the program and we have already a program totally established here in Brazil, so we have a good experience to help them, these countries, to develop their documentation. And the last step will be an event in Brasilia. We expect to have it in July next year. It will be an workshop, a presential workshop in Brasilia, and we will try to, through exercises and discussions, to finish the process, and we hope that the countries that will participate will be ready to run their own eco-labeling program. About sustainable procurement, the concept that is established in the ISO 2400 standard is that sustainable procurement is a procurement that has the most positive environmental, social, and economic impacts possible across the entire life cycle and that strives to minimize adverse impacts. Sustainable procurement is a powerful instrument when an organization considers sustainability requirements and its own contribution to the sustainable development. This is the concept of sustainable procurement, and we'll see more about that a little bit ahead. Well, this picture, I imagine that most of you have already saw this picture. It's just to show that this black line shows how is growing the consumptions of natural resources according to our consumption in our planet. And if nothing changes, in 2030 we will need 2 planets to have enough natural resources to supply our needs. If you can achieve the goals of carbon emission reduction, which is 30%, maybe the good news is in 2030 we will need only 1.4 planets to supply our needs. Anyway, it's a good news because right now we are needing more or less 1.6 planets to supply our needs. Well, what are the motivation for sustainable procurement? Some examples are innovation, because to have sustainable products we have to innovate in their production. We have to reduce the use of raw material. We have to modify the packaging process. Anyway, it's innovation, a lot of innovation that we need. The legislation and regulation, when the government establishes some laws and some regulations that requires that the products meet some sustainable requirements, we have to do that. And the security of supply chains, when the acquisition of products and services that have less impact on the health and the environment. And we can achieve these motivations for the sustainable procurement through establishing an eco-labeling program. When we have a product that have the eco-label, the label, we can achieve these points of motivation. Well, now we should have the Brazilian government that will present us, but we have to change the order of the presentations, and we have our client Marcelo that will present his experience in the eco-labeling process with ABNT.
Thank you very much, for ABNT for this invitation. I am Antonio Giuliani, and we are here to representing the Ministry of Economy. I have a friend, a colleague of my job here, who is Mr. Fabio. He's representing the Ministry of Economy as well. We are here, it's a great pleasure to be here to explain our participation in a cooperation project on sustainable public procurement and eco-labeling. That was an initiative of the United Nations Environment in 2015, and the general objective was to promote the synergistic use of two effective tools towards sustainable production and consumption patterns. Two tools, sustainable public procurement and eco-labeling type 1, to improve the demand and supply of sustainable products in Brazil and in South Cone. The components of the project were regional and local. The regional component covers the Southern Cone region, Argentina, Chile, Uruguay, and Brazil and Paraguay. And the main objectives were supporting the creation of regional networks for sustainable public procurement and eco-labeling type 1, develop regional studies mainly in three sectors: the pulp and paper, the cleaning products, and furniture and wood items. And one of the objectives was as well promote best production practice and exchange of experience at the regional level and increase the exchange of regional actors with international actors. That mean commercial stimulus. That is very important for the Ministry of Economy. The objectives of the local project were creation of a coordinating committee that was compounded by UNEP Brazil as a coordinator, and the Ministry of Industry, the Ministry of Environment, and the Ministry of Planning, that today are the Ministry of Economy, and with a very important partner, the ABNT, responsible for the Beija-Flor. Another objective was review of specific legislation and market analysis of Brazil that result in a very important product for us. That is a publication named Paper Brazil that I can send to our colleagues by email if is necessary. Another objective was development of a national action plan for sustainable public procurement that we are trying yet to implement in the Brazilian government. And for us, a very important objective, the creation of sustainability criteria in the form of technical sheets for three sectors as well: paper, furniture and wooden items, and detergents. And this sustainability criteria were to be used in bids in the terms of reference for sustainable public procurement in Brazil, with the verification of the sustainability through Type 1 Ecolabel. This is very important for us. We are trying to implement this objective yet, and I hope this will be possible during this year, I hope. And here are some results achieved in Brazil due to this cooperation project. One of them is a public procurement notice. It's a practical result made by the Union General Advocacy in Brazil using the copy and writing paper. It was a sustainable public procurement that occurred in 2018 in our country. It was the first example using eco-labeling in a process of sustainable public procurement in Brazil. And this is an example of a sustainability criteria that this process used. Yeah, they required the paper must be produced in accordance with the requirements to obtain certification of the chain of custody. Yeah, that demonstrates the sustainable management of forest exploration. We have three forms of this certification: FSC or Cerflor, or Ecolabel of ABNT, Beija-Flor. It's necessary to emphasize that in other sustainable public procurement, the form of verification was just by FSC or Cerflor. Now we are including Ecolabel of ABNT. It's very important for us because it's in a first time that in a federal procurement we use it Ecolabel, like a provide proof of compliance. Yeah, it's very important, and it is a direct result of the cooperation project with ONU Environment. And another criteria that was used by that edital was about the emission limits of halogenated organic chlorine compounds. And this emission limit was verified, yeah, by just manufacturer's declaration. Now we are changing this kind of criteria, yeah, using 2 or 3 more kinds of verification that include ABNT Ecolabel as well. And other activities developed due to the cooperation project, it's about a proposed term of reference for the purchase of wooden items by the Ministry of Development, Industry and Foreign Trade, now the Ministry of Economy. We are trying to use the Ecolabel in our public procurement to prove that the wood panels that we are trying to buy must be produced in accordance with the limits for the presence of formaldehyde. Yeah, that's a very toxic substance. It's a chemical, and we try to put this limit in a more adequate level. And we are using the methods of the ABNT to prove this compliance. So in this term of reference, we are trying to use just the ABNT Ecolabel to verify the compliance of the product. This is very, very important for us because we try to use just the ABNT Ecolabel in our public procurement. It's the first time, and for us it's very important to verify the sustainability of the products and to put this responsibility to the organism of certification, yeah, because it's very common in our bids to accept the private sector declaration. We have to change this situation. Now I am showing to you the upcoming activities of the Ministry of Economy. That is about a training course on Ecolabel Type 1, mainly for industrial sectors in Brazil and Latin American countries. It's a course that will have versions in Portuguese and Spanish. It's a kind of distance learning. It was a responsibility of the National School of Public Administration, ENAP, and the main objective is now to promote the Ecolabel Type 1 as a tool that increases the competitiveness of national products in global markets, with a strong emphasis on Mercosur and European Union agreements. We hope that this course is going to start in December 2019 and is possible to be available online for 1 year. That is an activity very important as well for the Ministry of Economy, because the use of Ecolabeling Type 1 program is a very important thing for us, because we are trying to make our products more competitive in global markets, and in the same time we are trying to increase the awareness of the consumers and of the people in general, mainly the people that have to have a decision in our country. And ABNT is a very important partner of the Ministry of Economy. It was a pleasure to me to be here. I am so sorry for my terrible English, but we are trying to contribute to the success of the Ecolabel Type 1 in our country and in Latin America as well. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Eevee is a home cleaning company, and we exist because the home cleaning products that are available, they don't make any sense. So we try to introduce a company and a product and a concept that keep us clean when we clean. Next slide, please, Guy. This is what you see when you go to the grocery stores to buy home cleaning product. What you don't see is that 90% of what's inside the bottles is actually water, and only 5 to 10% is the actual cleaning agents that are using to clean floors, glasses, and stuff like that. The result for that I show you in the next slide. We pollute the planet every time we clean our homes. We are flooding the planet with plastic. And can you just go to the other slide, please? We are flooding our planets with the bottles and with the packaging to transport all this water using one-use plastic. In the next slide, I also show another problem that we are leaving a lot of chemicals behind. You just need to look into the labels. And why should we risk the health to clean our homes? Next slides, please. We say that we are poisoning ourselves, our children, and the pets every time that we clean our homes. And what about the purchase and the storage of all these products? Next slide, please. Why are we lugging heavy bottles running in and out from the stores each week, each month? And then when you go through this very boring purchase experience, in the next slide, you can see what happens when you use the product. It's really a mess. Most of the time, we don't know what we have, and we don't know that we don't know what we actually need to clean our homes. In summary, we have a cleaning problem, and in the next slide I will show you how we are trying to solve that. So the problem number one is packaging. The problem number two is the ingredients that are basically petrochemicals, and the problem number three is the purchasing experience. How to solve that? Next slide, please. Next one. Let's solve this with Eevee. Just one back, please. Eevee means, in an Indian language of Brazil, a place where man and nature lives. They live in harmony. So we designed super concentrated cleaning pots that you can simply mix with the water that is in your tap. The bottles can be used forever. Next slide. Eevee is 83% less plastic waste in your home compared to the competitors, because you use very concentrated liquids, and you don't use this single-use plastics. Next slide. Eevee is 100% natural, upcycled from the Brazilian citrus and Amazonian botanicals, flowers. We use essential oils, and you use terpenes that are a kind of natural substance that is present in fruits, in vegetables, in general. Next slide. With Eevee, we deliver to your door the amount of product in the frequency that you want. The value is very competitive compared to the products that you can find in the grocery shelves. This is very easy to store, and it's much more convenient and much more value. Next slide. It's actually a very short movie that we show how the product works. Can you try to play that, Guy, please? It doesn't matter. I will explain.
Sorry, but it shows that we will need some program, some specific device here in the computer that we don't have.
No problem. No problem. The way that works, it's easy. You just need to fill the bottle with water that you find in the tap of your sink. You put the capsule upside down, and when you close the top lid, the capsule bursts, and then the liquid gets mixed in the right amount with the water, and you can use to clean your house. We have 5 products here in Brazil. Sorry. We have an all-purpose cleaner, a kitchen cleaner, a bathroom cleaner, which is disinfectant. We have also a dishwashing and the laundry detergent. Guy, can you forward for the next slide, please? So Eevee is a brand that is better for the planet. It's good for you, for your family, and it's much more convenient. I think that's the last slide that I used to explain what we do, and you can go to the next slide, Guy. And we decided to have ABNT's Ecolabel, from the project of our new brand. There's a lot of eco-labeling institutions here in Brazil, and we have been approached by several of them. Because of our background of working only with natural ingredients, lots of companies tried to acquire us as a customer just because of our background. None of those companies, none of those labels made us comfortable about the value and of the certification. ABNT's, I would say 5 years ago when we started this process, they have a very known green certification program, very well established here in Brazil, but they didn't have the procedures for cleaning products. At that time, 5 years ago, I guess, we were convinced that we need a global eco-labeling network type label because of our international expansion planning, and we learned that here in Latin America, I guess, for sure in Brazil, but I can imagine that it's Latin America. ABNT was the only certification institution affiliated to GEN. But they didn't have at that time the cleaning procedures defined. So we decided to apply for the certification abroad. And in the middle of that process, I got a call from them, and they decided to launch a specific procedure to certificate the cleaning products. I remember, I guess the code is PE 344. We were the very first company to be evaluated by this new procedure. The certification, I would say that in general, it's very similar to a ISO procedure. I received an auditor in my plant, in my factory, and it's a very deep process of being analyzed by them. They got samples of the raw materials, of the packaging. They got samples about the paperwork that used to establish our procedures related to the production. We have already gone to a recertification process. I think a couple of weeks ago we received it again. The auditor to audit the whole process, because during you get the certificate, and in the coming year you need to have a maintenance, and I think for 2 or 3 years you get a maintenance only, and each 3-year period you get a recertification. Yeah. For us, it's very important to have such a well-established label. It's an international label. I would say, I mean, it's something that you can go abroad and try to have similar labels, but for sure it's a very known process granted by a very known institution that is ABNT. So our experience is very, very positive of having our products with this label. I don't know what else can I cover. Do you have any question?